This is the Ohio AgNet from the Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF. Visit with your local ag retailer about 0% financing on all BASF crop protection, seed treatment, and Zatevo brand soybeans, now through March 15th. I'm Ty Higgins. New and now at ohioagnet.com, biofuels have always sat at the intersection of agriculture, energy, and innovation. For our farmers, they represent not just a market opportunity, but a stabilizing force, adding value to crops like corn and soybeans, creating new demand streams, and supporting rural economies with local processing, transportation, and jobs. They help keep the dollars circulating close to home. At a recent event in Northwest Ohio, they explored the future of biofuels. Dr. Gabe Lade is with Ohio State doing research on the biofuels market. He says there's a lot of potential for Ohio corn and soybeans.
There's potentially a lot, especially on the soybean side. It's a lot easier to blend up, if there are good policy signals, blend up more renewable diesel and biodiesel into the diesel fuel. There's more challenges on the ethanol side to put more into gasoline, but there's certainly room there, and really clear policy signals could push more of that. But, I think one of the fundamental challenges we face, especially in row crop agriculture, is our farmers really are so productive that if we send these new policy signals, they can meet that supply pretty readily. And so, oftentimes we will see these price responses to these policies, but sometimes farmers are almost too successful, and then we start to run into this issue of, all right, well, now all of a sudden prices are coming back down to this kind of a longer term, lower level. And so there's always going to be, these types of challenges in this kind of horse race between policy and farmers in the U.S. And so that's another interesting aspect to study, is what are the long-term implications for row crop prices whenever we have these biofuels policies continue to expand.
That horse race is one thing, but balance is another. Is there ever a point in your research where we use too much of the product we grow in rows here in Ohio for biofuels and really throw off the pendulum of what we need it for other things?
Yeah, I think we always have to keep that in mind, and always, the place to look for that is in prices, right? And so prices are going to tell us if it's getting really expensive to continue to expand on these one crops, and we might see it in prices of other agricultural products that we need. And so markets tend to tell us pretty quick whether we're going too far in one direction versus another, which is why research is so interesting, is to continue to follow these markets as we change these policies.
Jeff Erb is from the Ohio Energy and Convenience Association, the retailers for biofuels. He says there's still some work to be done on his side of things in order to make biofuels successful.
If you want to change products, there are requirements. So much like cars have designations for flex fuel and such, same thing is true of our equipment. So our pumps, our dispensers, sometimes the piping that is used, it has to comply with whatever that product is. If it's old equipment, it could be an upgrade. It could be a lot of money.
Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur was also at the event. She says farmers in Northwest Ohio are doing their part to make sure there's enough product to go around to feed and fuel Ohioans.
Over the years, the farmers of our region have distinguished themselves, not just nationally, but internationally, because they've created a new market. And I have a long memory of having worked for the Andersons when we were just beginning to work with corn cobs. I was interested here today to hear about corn stover and actually harvesting corn stover. I said, we did that 40 years ago. We already talked about that. But to keep thinking about how to make the best use of farm product, and also to make it more efficient, and moving into the fuels industry in a way that many people said we couldn't, right? They said, are you kidding me? We can't grow food if we grow fuel. We're doing both in Ohio. Now one of the top seven agricultural states in our country, and if I have any complaint, it is that the rest of America doesn't allow us to raise enough fruits and vegetables, and 3/4 of what we now import in the way of fruits and vegetables, they come from abroad. I don't agree with that. I think we should do that ourselves and help to nurture that industry again here in our region.
You can listen to the full podcast right now at ohioagnet.com. This check of the forecast brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance, online at seedconsultants.com. Here's Ryan Martin.
I don't think we see a lot today, maybe a little bit of flurry action trying to come together in northern tier counties of the state, but otherwise clouds and occasional sunshine for everyone else. We're still cold. Don't worry about that. That's going to be the mantra for the entire week. 2 Clipper systems headed toward the state as we move through the rest of this week. The first one coming overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, and that's going to bring anywhere from a coating to an inch from US 30 northward, maybe some better lake enhancement snows in northeastern Ohio. Second Clipper comes then as we move through New Year's Eve night into New Year's Day, focusing a little bit farther south. Coating to 2 inches can easily fall in central parts of Ohio. Clouds and flurries can happen everywhere else. However, once we get into New Year's afternoon, we're starting to clear out. Still chilly, but seeing partly sunny skies to finish the week, both Friday and Saturday. Rain showers possibly late Sunday, and then we go right back into the deep freeze next week. I'm Ryan Martin.
Ryan, thank you. After this on the Ohio AgNet, Dale Minyo checks in with BASF with a recap of the 2025 growing season and new technology on the horizon for 2026. Coming up next.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
They didn't have skim milk for your coffee, so I just got formaldehyde.
Ugh, isn't that stuff in floor cleaner?
Pizza's here. Would you like cheese on that? Or how about a Crowley?
Oh, no, that's in bug spray.
Hi there. Would you like to sample our new scent? Diethylene glycol.
Isn't that the stuff in antifreeze?
You wouldn't want to eat it, drink it, or even smell it, but that's exactly what's in your vapes. If you vape, quit. If you don't vape, don't start. For help, go to odh.ohio.gov/novapes. A message from the Ohio Department of Health.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. New innovations for crop protection are coming through the pipeline. Dale Minyo gets the details.
Joining me is Josh Putman from BASF. And I guess, Josh, for Ohio listeners, let's talk a little bit about technology, pipeline, and so on, because so many guys are either running into resistance, want to know what their options are. How do you address that kind of question?
Yeah, glad to be here, Dale, and certainly hold Ohio agriculture near and dear to my heart, being an alumni of Wilmington College there, so go Quakers. But I really want to focus on some new things. But before I go down that path, I want to just reiterate what 2025 was. Certainly a challenging year from an application standpoint and an overall weed control standpoint. In Ohio, you've got weeds like giant ragweed. Certainly the pigweed species like water hemp are prevalent. And at BASF, we continue to help farmers do the biggest job on earth, and that's bringing new innovations through the pipeline system to help farmers achieve the biggest amount of yields and help maintain ROI.
Yeah, in order to get good yields, you've got to eliminate competition, and that competition comes at different times of the year, different sizes, too wet, too dry, and it's good to know that technology is out there. What's the biggest challenge today at getting today's technology on the field? Is it timing?
You know, that's actually the third time that's come up this year, or at this meeting, is how important is timing. Timing to me is everything, you know. So when we talk about weed management, it is about the whole farm, holistic farm approach. But it's important to know you got to start clean and stay clean. But as it is, Mother Nature and breakdowns can really put can make that very challenging, right? It's no secret that equipment is getting bigger. It's harder and harder for applicators to keep up with those planters and put out timely applications. So our customers were coming to us saying, hey, we need some flexibility in our herbicides. Last year I talked about Certain herbicide for use in corn. That is our pre-post flexible product that worked really well for us this year. Now we have a new product available, expecting the EPA registration any day now, and that is called Zidua Plus herbicide. So Zidua Plus herbicide is a pre-post flexible product. You can apply it pre-plant all the way up to V6 soybeans, dual mode of action, dual active ingredients, and controls weeds like your water hemps and your small seeded broadleaf. So very excited to get the registration for that any day now from the EPA. Zidua Plus herbicide for weed management.
How long does it take a product that shows some potential in weed control to get through all the registration, all the testing that goes on in the field, and replication? How long does that take these days?
Yeah, that's a great question. So from start to finish, on average, it can take 10 to 12 years from when the initial idea of a herbicide comes about to the actual farmer using the herbicide. In fact, there are some products that make it part of the way through the pipeline and then just get axed because of various reasons, but certainly are never forgotten about. And I think we're seeing a little bit more of that nowadays, where we are pulling some of these older technologies off the shelf and incorporating them into our production systems, whether it be corn or soybeans, almost dusting off the product, if you will, and bringing them back into the pipelines. But at BASF, between now and 2030, we have 20 new products in the pipeline in our entire portfolio.
This is Josh Putman, and he's with BASF. And Josh, as we look to potentials coming down the road, will we talk about timing, modes of action, new chemistry? How does all that fall into it? Because there for a while, we kept talking about the need for more modes of action and longer residual.
Yeah, so timing is certainly important when we think about the holistic farm approach to managing weeds. It's about starting clean and staying clean. And timing nowadays is especially important because farmers have come to us saying, hey, we need something that's pre-post flexible. It's hard to keep up with the planters. Guys are running around the clock, and it's hard to cover those acres. So we need something that's more of a pre-post flex in corn and soybeans. So that's where Certain herbicide in corn fits very nicely, and our new product, Zidua Plus herbicide, where we're expecting the registration any day now from the EPA, is going to fit very nicely into that portfolio.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dale.
Markets and analysis after this on the Ohio AgNet.
When you combine the advanced technology of Enlist E3 soybeans with Seed Consultants' dedication to performance in the eastern corn belt, it's a simply better experience. Our Seed Consultants brand soybeans are hand-selected, tested, and proven to perform in your conditions, backed by the local knowledge of Seed Consultants sales professionals. Buy into better soybeans with reliability and results packed into every variety. Visit seedconsultants.com.
Here's farmer and businessman James Wood.
We farm about 3,500 acres. There's pipelines everywhere. The contractor working on my property did not have the lines located before he began work, and it resulted on a strike on a natural gas pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Before we get to overnight market numbers, let's get news behind the numbers. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished weaker as we get started this week. Corn could not get through chart resistance at about 450 March futures. The Santa Claus rally in wheat and soybeans ended back last Friday, but we confirmed that ending yesterday with no significant movement here. Corn export inspections need to remain strong for there to be any chance of reaching USDA's projected totals. Speaking of those export inspections, the week ending Christmas, 51.22 million bushels of corn, 27.6 million bushels of beans, 11.1 million bushels of wheat. The exports were during the holiday period and showed reduced loadings because of that. For the respective crop years, corn exports are up 395 million bushels year on year, beans down 487 million bushels year on year, wheat up 100 million bushels year on year. Also had a flash reported sale, 100,000 metric tons of beans going to Egypt. That's one you don't hear every day. Still wasn't enough to get the soybean markets happy. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Ryan. This check of the markets on the Ohio AgNet brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. March corn up a quarter penny at 442.5. No change for May at 450 3/4. Overnight soybeans for January 10.51 a bushel, up by a penny and a half. March up a penny and a half at 10.65 a bushel. Wheat for July 536 3/4, down by a half. September off by a quarter penny at 551 1/4. Live cattle for December closing out Monday down 92 points at 228.90. February 228.97, down 67 cents. Lean hogs for February 84.45, down by a nickel. April lean hogs 89.40, down 7 cents. Feeder cattle for March, $341.67, up by $1.25. April feeders up $1.22 at $340.42. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Ty Higgins reporting. We'll see you down the road. Get more of today's farm news at ohioagnet.com.